The Galactic Council emissary, a towering figure cloaked in shimmering fabrics that shifted colors like liquid metal, descended from their crystalline spacecraft onto Earth's surface. The air seemed to vibrate with tension as world leaders gathered in the Great Assembly Hall, a high-tech fortress designed to symbolize Earth's unity. The emissary's voice, amplified and resonant, echoed through the chamber. Earth, it began, its tone devoid of emotion yet carrying the weight of millennia of dominance. As a member of the Galactic Council, you are required to provide tribute. Failure to comply will result in immediate sanctions and the severance of all protections afforded by the Council. Silence fell. The emissary's pronouncement, though expected, landed like a hammer blow. Humanity had clawed its way to interstellar relevance, but the cost of admission was clear subjugation. After centuries of division, Earth's newfound unity was being tested by an ultimatum wrapped in diplomacy. Captain Elena Vargas sat quietly at the back of the room, observing. Her sharp eyes scanned the emissary's body language, detecting no hint of compromise. Around the central table, Earth's leaders exchanged tense glances. Vargas was not a politician. Her place here was symbolic, a reminder of humanity's growing military capabilities. But her presence was deliberate. This was not merely a diplomatic meeting, it was a thinly veiled threat. As murmurs broke out, the President of the United Earth Council rose, his voice firm but controlled. We acknowledge the Galactic Council's request. However, humanity requires time to deliberate and propose a response. The emissary's crystalline eyes flickered faintly. You have one standard cycle. Do not mistake leniency for weakness. With that, it turned and exited, leaving a palpable silence in its wake. The room erupted the moment the emissary was gone. Politicians argued fiercely. Some advocated for compliance, fearing the wrath of the Council's fleet. Others bristled at the thought of bowing, calling it a betrayal of humanity's hard-won independence. At the heart of the debate, Admiral Marcus Shin leaned forward, his expression unreadable. We all know what happens to worlds that pay tribute, he said, his calm tone cutting through the noise. They become dependent. Vulnerable. One demand leads to another, until their sovereignty is eroded entirely. Defiance could mean war. A diplomat countered. We're not ready for that. Captain Vargas finally spoke, her voice sharp as steel. Are we not? Decades of preparation say otherwise. We've unified our nations, advanced our technologies, and built a fleet the likes of which this galaxy has never seen. If there's a time to test our strength, it's now. The room fell silent again as her words settled. Vargas's confidence wasn't misplaced. Humanity's rapid ascent in the galactic arena had been fueled by a secret. Buried deep in the Kuiper Belt, a dormant AI network of unknown origin had been uncovered during an unassuming mining expedition. This ancient intelligence had shared knowledge that catapulted humanity's technology centuries ahead, allowing them to build ships that rivaled the Council's best. The discovery had been kept tightly under wraps, its existence known only to a select few. After hours of debate, the President addressed the Assembly. If we comply, we lose the very independence we fought so hard to achieve. If we resist, we must show them we are not a species to be trifled with. Admiral Shin, Captain Vargas, can we make them believe that? Shin exchanged a glance with Vargas, a silent understanding passing between them. Not just believe, Shin said. We'll make them know it. In the days that followed, Earth's shipyards became a flurry of activity. The fleet, years in the making, was mobilized under top-secret orders. The Indomitable, a flagship embodying the peak of human engineering, was prepared for its maiden voyage. Among its crew was Ensign Kai Patel, a young officer whose enthusiasm masked a deep sense of duty. Patel embodied the spirit of this new generation of humans, unafraid and driven by a determination to prove their worth. As the fleet was readied, Captain Vargas addressed her crew for the first time. Her words carried the weight of history. We stand on the precipice of something greater than ourselves. The Council demanded tribute, but we are giving them something they do not expect. Our defiance. Every system, every maneuver, every ounce of effort you've put into this fleet will speak for humanity. We don't bow. We rise. The Indomitable launched, flanked by an armada of battleships, carriers, and support vessels. Humanity had chosen its path, not submission, but strength. As the fleet vanished into the void, Earth's leaders watched in silence, their hopes riding on the shoulders of those brave enough to carry humanity's message into the heart of the galaxy. The emissary's demand had ignited a fire that would either consume humanity or light its way to greatness. Captain Vargas's fleet was a testament to the resolve of an entire species, a message not just of defiance but of promise. Earth would not merely survive, it would thrive, and on its own terms. The fleet cut through the vastness of space, a spearhead of human ambition and defiance. The Indomitable led the way, its sleek hull bristling with advanced weaponry, its engines humming with the power of generations of innovation. Behind it stretched an armada, battleships, carriers, and cruisers, each one a testament to humanity's newfound unity and technological prowess. They moved with purpose, a single, synchronized force heading for the Galactic Council's core system. The journey was not without notice. As the fleet passed through neutral territories, alien civilizations watched in stunned silence. Many had heard whispers of Earth's rapid technological ascension, but few had believed it. Now, the undeniable truth roared past them. Humanity had not only risen but was prepared to challenge the established order. Alien ships kept their distance, their captains wary of provoking a force they did not fully understand. Inside the Indomitable, Captain Elena Vargas stood on the bridge, her gaze fixed on the distant stars. Every movement of the fleet was precise, every decision calculated. The crew operated in near silence, their focus unshakable. They knew the stakes. This was more than a mission, it was humanity's declaration of independence, delivered not with words but with the silent menace of firepower. As the fleet entered the outer edges of the Council's territory, resistance became inevitable. Scout ships emerged, their sleek forms darting around the human vessels like flies circling a predator. These ships carried no weapons, only sensors, and they kept their distance. Their task was clear: gather intelligence, assess the threat, and report back. Vargas let them go. The scouts would ensure that humanity's arrival was known long before they reached the Council's homeworld. When they finally emerged into the heart of the Council's domain, the scale of what they faced became clear. Surrounding the Council's homeworld was an armada of alien ships, a defensive wall spanning thousands of kilometers. These were not mere scouts or ceremonial vessels. They were the pride of the Council's military, a force designed to maintain order across the galaxy. Each ship, though varied in design and origin, represented the combined might of civilizations that had ruled for millennia. The sight was staggering, even to seasoned officers. Ensign Kai Patel, standing at his station, felt a pang of unease as he surveyed the enemy forces. But the unease was fleeting, replaced by a quiet determination. They had come this far. Turning back was not an option. The Indomitable transmitted its message, a simple declaration that carried the weight of an entire planet. We refuse to kneel. Instead, we offer an alliance, or annihilation. The words echoed across the system, received by every ship and every listening post. For a moment, there was silence. Then, the Council's fleet began to stir. Ships moved into formation, their intent clear. They would test the humans' resolve, measure the strength behind their audacious claim. Captain Vargas gave the order. The fleet held its position, weapons charged but silent. This was not a show of aggression, it was a demonstration of control. Humanity's fleet moved with precision, their formations shifting effortlessly in response to the Council's maneuvers. Alien commanders, used to chaotic displays of defiance, found themselves unnerved. This was not the erratic behavior of a desperate species. This was discipline. The Council responded with a challenge. A contingent of their ships, smaller but heavily armed, broke formation and advanced. It was a test, a calculated move to gauge the humans' capabilities. Vargas met the challenge head-on. She ordered the fleet to maintain its position while a single battleship moved forward. The alien contingent opened fire first, their weapons blazing with the energy of ancient technology. The human battleship weathered the assault, its shields absorbing the impact with ease. Then it responded, a single, devastating strike that disabled the lead alien ship without destroying it. The precision was surgical, a clear message: humanity was not here to conquer, but they would not hesitate to defend themselves. The demonstration had its intended effect. The alien contingent retreated, their ships limping back to the safety of the main formation. But the Council fleet did not disperse. If anything, they tightened their defenses, wary now of the force that had arrived on their doorstep. Within the Council chambers, chaos erupted. The images of humanity's fleet and the disabled alien ships played on massive holographic displays. Council members argued fiercely, some calling for immediate retaliation, others urging caution. At the center of it all was Ambassador Kazarn Vokael, his expression a mix of anger and intrigue. He had underestimated humanity, and the realization stung. On board the Indomitable, Vargas received the Council's response. They demanded a formal audience, a rare concession that underscored the gravity of the situation. Vargas's lips curved into a faint smile. They had not yet won, but they had forced the Council to listen. That, in itself, was a victory. As the fleet held position, tension hung heavy in the air. Every crew member understood the stakes. The Council could still decide to attack, unleashing the full might of their armada. But humanity's fleet was ready. They had come prepared to fight, to show the galaxy that Earth was no longer a subject to be dictated to but a power to be reckoned with. The Galactic Council's chambers were a cacophony of anger, fear, and confusion. The images of Earth's fleet, sleek and bristling with cutting-edge weaponry, hung in the air as holographic projections. Alien representatives shouted over one another, their voices a medley of languages, some translated, others incomprehensible. To many, humanity's fleet was not just a military force, it was a symbol of defiance that threatened the balance of power the Council had maintained for millennia. Ambassador Kazarn Vokael, his golden eyes narrowing as he watched the footage, raised a hand, silencing the chaos. His voice carried an edge of authority. This provocation cannot go unanswered. If we allow this insolence, it will spread like a plague. What will stop the other young species from following suit? We must respond decisively. A ripple of agreement spread through the chamber, but not everyone shared Kazarn's hawkish stance. Some representatives, weary of conflict, hesitated. Their fleet did not destroy our ships, one said, their voice calm but firm. They could have obliterated the advance unit, yet they chose to disable rather than kill. This is not the action of a species bent on conquest. They came armed, Kazarn countered, his voice sharp. A fleet of that size is not a message of peace. It is an act of war disguised as diplomacy. The debate raged on, but Kazarn's words carried weight. He was one of the oldest members of the Council, a veteran of countless interstellar conflicts. His voice often swayed the undecided, and now he pushed for immediate action. If they believe themselves untouchable, let us disabuse them of that notion. Humanity must be reminded of their place. Meanwhile, aboard the Indomitable, Captain Elena Vargas stood in the war room, watching the incoming reports from her intelligence officers. The Council's fleet was holding formation, but subtle shifts betrayed their unease. It was clear they were deliberating, and Vargas knew time was not on humanity's side. The longer they waited, the more likely the Council would move toward an aggressive resolution. We need to apply pressure, Admiral Marcusson said, his voice low and deliberate. Force them to see that engaging us will cost them dearly. Vargas nodded, her gaze steady. And how do we do that without tipping them over the edge? Shin gestured to the tactical map, highlighting key elements of the Council's fleet. We show them what they're dealing with. Non-lethal, precise, undeniable. No destruction, but enough to make them think twice. Moments later, the fleet acted. A series of well-coordinated maneuvers unfolded, with humanity's ships moving in flawless unison. One after another, the Council's defensive satellites went dark, their systems disabled by targeted electromagnetic pulses. Not a single satellite was destroyed, each one was rendered inert, an unmistakable display of technological superiority. The message was clear: humanity's fleet could dismantle their defenses at will, and yet they chose restraint. The response from the council was immediate. Kazan Vokael demanded a meeting, not to negotiate, but to issue an ultimatum. In the council chambers, he addressed humanity's leaders through a secure holographic channel. His tone was venomous. "You believe you can intimidate us with your technology? You are children playing with fire, and you will burn." Captain Vargas stepped forward to reply. Her voice was calm, her words measured. "We are not here to intimidate. We are here to show that Earth will not kneel. We seek not war, but respect. The choice is yours, Ambassador." Kazan's eyes narrowed, his anger barely contained. "If respect is what you seek, then prove yourselves worthy of it. Face our finest warriors in a controlled engagement. Show us whether your fleet is truly as formidable as you claim." The challenge was both a trap and an opportunity. The Council's warriors were legendary, their tactics honed over centuries. Yet Vargas saw the potential. Winning the engagement would strengthen their position and undermine Kazan's argument for war. She accepted without hesitation. The simulated battle was arranged, with strict rules to ensure no real damage was done. Humanity's fleet squared off against a contingent of the Council's best ships, each one piloted by experienced crews and armed with advanced weaponry. The engagement began, and the Council's confidence quickly turned to shock. Humanity's fleet moved like a single organism, their AI-assisted systems coordinating maneuvers with inhuman precision. While the Council's ships relied on individual brilliance, humanity's strength lay in its collective strategy. Each move was calculated, each strike deliberate. Within minutes, the Council's contingent was outmaneuvered, their ships left vulnerable. Ensign Kai Patel played a pivotal role, his quick thinking and creative tactics exploiting gaps in the Council's formations. His maneuvers, unorthodox yet effective, showcased humanity's adaptability, a trait the Council had long underestimated. When the simulated battle ended, humanity's fleet stood unscathed, while the Council's ships were thoroughly defeated. The aftermath was chaos. The Council chambers erupted once again, but this time the voices were mixed. Some called for retaliation, their pride wounded by the loss. Others, however, saw the writing on the wall. Humanity had proven itself. They were no longer a fledgling species to be bullied, they were a force to be reckoned with. Kazan Vokael seethed in silence. The defeat was a blow, not just to the Council's image, but to his own standing. Yet he refused to yield. As the chamber debated, he began to plot, his mind already working on ways to undermine humanity's position. For now, the Council's decision hung in the balance, but Kazan knew this was far from over. The simulated battle's aftermath reverberated throughout the Galactic Council. Victory was clear, yet its implications were profound. For millennia, the Council had operated under the belief that no young species could match the might of the older civilizations. Humanity had shattered that illusion, not just through technology, but with precision, creativity, and restraint. The Council was forced to reckon with a truth it had long ignored: the galaxy was changing. Inside the Council's chambers, debate resumed, but it was no longer chaotic. The tone had shifted to one of urgency and unease. Representatives who had once dismissed humanity now argued for caution. "They could have destroyed us," one murmured, their voice edged with disbelief. "But they didn't. That is no accident." Ambassador Kazan Vokael, though seething beneath his calm exterior, played his role as if the battle had been inconsequential. "Restraint," he said, his voice smooth but sharp, "is often the mask of weakness. Do not mistake their tactics for mercy. They seek to manipulate us into complacency." Yet even his rhetoric faltered under the weight of evidence. The display of power was undeniable, and humanity's message was clear: they sought not war, but recognition. The Council's older members, wary of escalating a conflict they were no longer certain they could win, began to lean toward negotiation. Meanwhile, aboard the Indomitable, Captain Elena Vargas gathered her senior officers. The fleet's victory had bolstered morale, but Vargas knew the Council was far from a monolith. Humanity's position remained precarious. "They will deliberate," Vargas said, her tone measured. Some will see reason, but others, like Kazarn, will never accept what we've done here. Admiral Marcus Shin, ever the strategist, leaned forward. Then we give them something they can't ignore. Something that forces even the Hawks to pause. He tapped a control, bringing up a schematic on the display. It was an ancient artifact, its design unlike anything native to the Council's domains. The AI network humanity had uncovered was not just a source of knowledge, it was a relic of a civilization that had long vanished from the galaxy. Its dormant systems had awakened under human ingenuity, sharing secrets that had transformed Earth from a backwater planet to a galactic power. It was a story humanity had kept hidden, but now, it was time to reveal the truth. When the Council reconvened, humanity made its move. A transmission from the Indomitable filled the chambers, not with words, but with data, images, schematics, and historical fragments from the AI network. The artifact's origins were unclear, but its age was undeniable. It predated even the oldest Council species, and its knowledge hinted at technologies far beyond anything the galaxy had seen. Captain Vargas's voice cut through the stunned silence. This is why we have advanced so quickly. Not conquest, not theft, but discovery. This knowledge was buried in our solar system, forgotten by time, until we found it. And we have used it to build a future that is ours alone. The revelation sent shockwaves through the Council. Some were awestruck, others fearful. The implications were staggering. If humanity had unlocked even a fraction of the artifact's potential, their rise was only beginning. But Vargas was quick to clarify. We do not seek to wield this knowledge against you. We offer it as proof that our ambition is not domination, it is progress. We refuse to kneel, not out of arrogance, but because we believe the galaxy can be more than it is. Kazarn Vokael's expression was unreadable, but his mind raced. This revelation threatened to destabilize not just humanity's position, but the Council's very foundation. If such artifacts existed, who else might uncover them? And what would become of the Council's dominance if the younger species began to rise en masse? The debate that followed was the most intense in the Council's history. Some saw humanity's discovery as an opportunity to advance together, to break free from the stagnation that had plagued the older civilizations. Others, like Kazarn, saw it as a threat that must be contained. They claimed to seek progress. Kazarn argued, his voice rising. But what happens when their ambition outpaces their control? What happens when they no longer need us? The final vote was close. Humanity's fleet, their restraint, and the artifact had swayed many, but fear lingered in the hearts of the oldest species. By a narrow margin, the Council agreed to open negotiations, ending the tribute system and initiating discussions on a new order of cooperation. It was not a victory, but a foothold, a chance for humanity to shape the future without surrendering their sovereignty. As the fleet prepared to depart, Vargas stood on the bridge of the Indomitable, watching the Council's homeworld recede into the distance. The battle had been won, but the war for humanity's place in the galaxy was just beginning. Admiral Shin joined her, his expression thoughtful. They'll plot against us, Shin said. Kazarn and others like him won't let this go. Vargas nodded. Let them plot. We've shown the galaxy who we are. That's a fire they can't extinguish. The fleet moved as one, a symbol of unity and defiance. They had not come to conquer, but to declare their place in the galaxy. And while the path ahead would be fraught with challenges, humanity's message was clear: they would not kneel. They would rise.